Alright, today we're going to look at writing equations with more than one variable, an x or a y. This kind of goes along with graphing. We'll learn how to graph equations later, but when you're graphing and you're plotting a point on your graph, you have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. Okay, so what we need to answer the question is, what do we do to the x in order to get the y? So what do we do to this here x to get our y answer right there? And another thing we need to know to keep doing is just keep trying until we get it right. You might think, what does that mean? Well, I'll show you in a second what that means. So first, as you see, I have 1 and 3. 1 and 3. So what do I do to 1 in order to get 3? So the first thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to multiply it by 2. 2 times x equals 3. So I'm going to multiply my x by 2, because remember, if I just have the parentheses and the number next to it, I'm multiplying it. So first thing I do is I take my first x value and I say 2 times 1 equals 3. Well, guess what? 2 times 1 does not equal 3. So I know my equation's not going to be 2 times x equals 3. It just won't. Because when I plug my x value into this equation, I don't get my y value. So now I'm going to say, well, does x plus 2 equal 3? So I plug it in. 1 plus 2 does equal 3. I plugged in my 1 for the x, and since it's x plus 2, I go 1 plus 2, it does equal 3. But guess what? When I plug in my next x value, 2 plus 2, guess what? 2 plus 2 does not equal 6. 2 plus 2 is 4. So I know it's not x plus 2 either. So like it says, I need to keep trying until I get it right. So let's go to the next one and let's see what we can do. Okay. Just like before, I'm going to see what I'm going to do with my x in order to get the y and keep trying until I get it right. So I'm going to say that my y is going to equal 3 times x. So when I multiply this x times 3, my answer is going to be y every time. So the first one I try, 3 times 1 equals 3. Yep, that's right. That works. So now I'm going to go over to my next ones. I'm going to plug my x value right here, right down into here. 3 times 2 does equal 6. So far, so good. Now I'm going to come over to this next one where I have 3 times 3 because I'm multiplying my x value times 3. 3 times my x value is 3 does equal my y value 9. And I'm going to look at my next one. I'm going to plug in my x value to see if I get my y value. 3 times my x value of 7 does equal 21, which is my y value. And last but not least, I'm going to plug in 10 and see if I get 30. 3 times 10, so 3 times my x value of 10, does equal 30, my y value. So I know that this equation is spot on. Because every time I plugged in my x value, the answer I got was my y value. Okay. So let's try one more. My next one, 1 and 5, 2 and 6, 3 and 7, 7, 11, 10 and 14. Now I have to answer the two, or follow my two prompts. First, I answer the question. What do we do to the x in order to get the y value. And I keep trying until I get it right. Because as you see, the last time I tried a couple different equations and I made mistakes. But it's okay, I keep trying until I get it right. So the first one, if I have 1 and 5, I'm going to try y equals 5x. If I multiply my x by 5, I'm going to get my y value every time. And this time it works. 5 times 1 does equal 5. So I take my x value, 1, and multiply it by 5. It does equal 5. But now I'm going to look at my next one. 2 times and 6. So 2 times 5 does not equal 6. So I know that it cannot be 5x equals y. It can't. Because when I get to my second x value, it doesn't equal it. So now I'm going to try my next one. Just like before. What do we do to the x in order to get the y? And keep trying until we get it right. Okay. So 1 and 5. So I'm going to try x plus 4. Because 1 plus 4, I think, is going to equal 5. It does. 1 plus 4 equals 5, so I plug my x value in right there. And the answer is my y value. But now I got to look at the next one. 2 in the x value and y and 6 in the y value. And guess what? 2, which is my x, plus 4 does equal 6. Let's go over to the next one. 3 and 7. Well, 3 plus 4, because my equation's x plus 4, does equal my y value of 7. So far, so good. Let's have to check 2 more numbers. I want to be thorough. Make sure I'm taking them all into account. 7, my x value, plus 4 equals 11, which is my y value. And last but not least, 10 and 14. Well, 10 is my x value, so I plug it in. And oops, I need to write that the right way, actually. Because 10 plus 4 does equal 14, which is my y value. So I know that the equation for this set of data points, x and y coordinates, is x plus 4. Y equals x plus 4. So when they give you these tables with the data, make sure you figure out, what do we do to x in order to get the y? And try different equations. Okay? Maybe you'll get right in the first time. That's always the best case scenario. But if you don't, if you get to the third one and it's not when we plug in the x, it doesn't equal the y, try again. Eventually you'll get it.